And we are live. Thank you so much for joining. This is Choose Life Weekly. I'm Kristen, and this is my darling Sally. I love her dearly. She is a faithful friend and a fabulous mother, a fabulous wife, a fabulous community just leader, but she has just everything she touches, absolutely. The Spirit of the living God is in her because it blossoms. It blossoms. It blossoms. And her heart is pure and it's authentic. And I look forward to hearing what she has to say today because she brings an upgrade. She brings just absolutely, she is a realtor. She knows how to make houses a home, but she really does bring the coziness and the comfort and really brings an upgrade to those type of conversations. So thank you for joining us. You'll see as Sally just releases the Spirit of the living God upon her, in her, you will hear and be able to experience the shift in your story.
Great. So, thank you very much, Kristen, for having me today.
Yes, I'm so glad you're here. So tell us, in your words, a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm married to my husband of over 30 years, Glenn Mulready, and we have 3 teenage sons. And we have 2 in college and 1 who is a senior at Jenks High School here in the Tulsa area. And so we are almost empty nesters. We are learning how to release and how to launch. We're in definitely that launching stage. And it's thrilling and terrifying, all of it at the same time. It's wonderful. Walking this road with so many families, and we have our boys that are 18 months apart. So it's been bam, bam, and bam. And so learning to release each one of them into what God has called them to for the first 2. So we have a junior and a freshman in college, and then we have our senior in high school. So and then I sell real estate full time, and I feel like I'm a real estate agent. I love connecting people to homes, people to people. I feel that my heart is not only that I would help people find a place to call their home, a place to call home, a place where they can make those memories and really create family and create community within their home. But then I just have a real heart for women and seeing them take that next step out of the fear zone, out of zones that are keeping them really held back. And so that's my passion.
And I have seen you do that so well. And actually, that is how we became great friends, is we lived in the same neighborhood and had just single-minded hearts and minds of seeing a neighborhood become a community and connecting others to others, and just really seeing a neighborhood be turned on, like the light of God being turned on in homes and families and hearts and lives. And so,
well, let me just say, the way that I think the first time we met, Kristen, we were up at the pool in the park at one of the picnic tables, and because we were trying to figure out what was the event that we were planning. I think maybe it was a movie in the park.
It was kind of like everything. I just remember you were
part of that.
Yes,
to the community.
Yes, we were part of the HOA, and I had just moved in the neighborhood, and I really, I didn't know anybody. The neighborhood is 300 homes, so just like large enough but small enough at the same time, and so that's when I met you, and I didn't know anything of your beautiful spiritual heritage. You were just a brand new face and a brand new name, and so I didn't know that you were a sister in Christ. I didn't know anything, but
right.
Through I just was in a place of honor, and so just meeting with the HOA saying I would love to have a big neighborhood party.
Yeah.
food trucks. I want to have live music. We want to do movies. Like, and it was just kind of like, okay, does this girl have an agenda? Is she trying to promote herself? Trying to
do all that.
Like, it was just like, what, why, how come? And it's like, because what if God is doing something really special in this neighborhood?
Right.
And if he's doing something, like, let's just make it available and he's gonna blow on it, or it's not. Like, I'm happy for it to be crickets, but let's just put it out there. And as you heard my heart, and again, you're meeting me for the first time, you're like, that's my girl. And we really began to kind of just run together. We was able to have a beautiful partnership for so many different commonalities, but that being in the neighborhood was obviously one of them, and having the same vision and passion to see the Lord move in our neighborhood. It wasn't promoting a certain church. It wasn't promoting a certain thing. It was really just loving people and creating a place of fellowship. And who knew? That was back in 2014, I remember.
Wow.
And now 6.5 years later, that model would be the model.
Yes. Well, it's just so interesting, Kristen, because I think you and I found a commonality, a friendship. You guys then, at some point, after a few different community gatherings, you started kind of looking for people who were asking for more. Yeah. And so you then opened your home for a number of months, a year, I'm not sure even exactly how long it was,
years,
for neighbors to come over and join just for dinner and just have conversations about God. And it was so loose and so wonderful. And from all different churches and whatever, where we could just have a conversation about God. And those times and those neighbors are still close to this day. And it was just something that everybody just looked forward to. Yeah. And, it just took us deeper, and things were shared during that time of people really being able to, find that safe place to where they could feel like they could really open their heart and be real. And it was a real beautiful thing.
And it really was to be that raw and that organic. And I didn't want to put a lot of structure to it. It was not a church and a system. I didn't want it was an organic church, not a systematic church, because it was basically just saying, hey, yes, on a large group, on 300 home, we're bringing in the food trucks, bringing in live music, and bring out your blankets and your lawn chairs and hang and enjoy and connect and do life and meet one another. And I remember people were like, well, I've lived in here for 5 years and 6 years, and this is amazing. And I didn't even know the person 2 houses down. And it was a lot of that going on. But then saying, hey, by the way, I am a lover of Jesus, and I love talking about him and his word. If you have any interest at all, then you are welcome to come into the home. It's a potluck, bring whatever, bring the kids too. It's going to look a little messy as far as, and I was just your rock star older boys, 3 older boys. They're so fabulous. They were great with the kids, and there was so much fun, and they were amazing. But and I just remember, as we all ate together in a potluck style and inside, outside, and then the kids went out side or upstairs, and then the adults, we just kind of open up a topic in God's word, and this is what he has to say, and please chime in and please ask questions. And I remember there's people that did not believe in God, that were not going to church, that were going to a part of other parts of religion, that didn't practice God, experiencing God in a certain type of way. And it was beautiful. And
that come to this, they would come.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And it was just this open door opportunity and creating, and I do believe I really felt like the spiritual light on the neighborhood turn on.
Yes.
Turn on. And I would say the fruition, and this is a bittersweet memory, and we can unpack it as much as you feel like we should, but I remember thinking, Lord Jesus, how close and knit really is this neighborhood, is this community? How well did this neighborhood be turned into a community? And how well do we see your kingdom, your your kindness and your goodness and your generosity, and your, that here's my shirt, like here's the cloak, like take everything I have and you have it. How much of it do you see your kingdom of God turn on? And I remember I was just asking him just out of curiosity, but I remember seeing the fruition of those questions and just my secret place conversation with him is when our precious, precious dear friend and neighbor passed away.
Yes, in a car accident.
In a car accident. And it was heartbreaking to our neighborhood, to the community, to the city, to the state. Actually, the state knew. The entire state knew.
Right.
That horrific. And what we saw, absolutely, the neighborhood love.
And love some more.
And love some more.
Right. And it was interesting because there's already such a commonality that had created through community, that there was actually a community that was well connected already to, all right, now we're ready to go do something. Okay, how can we help? What can we do? And we were already very united. It's like, I got this, you got, whatever. And so, which was very, very cool.
Yes.
Very cool.
Yes. And so, but absolutely. So I'm not in that neighborhood, but because there was such a single-mindedness, and like there is, I know, like, roots are already established. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Right.
The Lord's kingdom is already established there. There is fruit still on the tree to eat from, to be nourished by, and I know that because of you and other people's hearts of like they can carry the vision.
Right. And so at some point in time there, when I started a Bible study and it really started out of just women in the neighborhood, we had all of our kids were going to camp together up at Shepherd's Fold Ranch, and they were all going together. And I remember we were having.
I should pause because you're so humble, and I just want to highlight this camp is 50-year running camp. It's Sally's family. Like, they birthed it from nothing. They were not handed any somewhat of a formation of anything. It was out of just her parents just saying yes and what is in their hand, and saying and plowing some. It was just a nothing filled.
Well, and that's it was a ranch for sale. My parents thought, hey, isn't that interesting? They just couldn't get it out of their mind. And we went to look at it, and they got out of the car, and they both looked at each other, and just tears streaming down their face. They knew, okay, what is this land? This is amazing. And at that point it was 90 acres. And so we started, we were living in South Tulsa, and that was when I was in 4th grade. And so we moved out to the ranch. And so I was raised there, and raised in, doing camps all summer long and retreats all during the winter. And for numerous of those years, we had a horse program. So I got to figure that out and take some trail rides and all. But so the camp is very near and dear to my heart, and many of you maybe watching have had some experiences at Shepherd's Fold. The generational, my kids, my grandkids, my great grandkids, what my mom has had, my mom and dad, my dad has since passed in 99, but what my mom has really been able to lean in on in these last even numbers of years. I mean, kids and grandkids and just the reports still are coming back. The Lord is alive and on the move at Shepherd's Fold Ranch, and He will meet you, and He will meet your kids. He will meet your family. So it's a real powerful experience.
Powerful.
And so,
and that is why we my girls, they love going. We send the girls there, and because they learn how to hear God's voice. It's not just a salvation experience from them. It is encounter after encounter. They learn how to expect God for miracle signs and wonders, for hearing His voice, for carrying His presence. Like that adults are not even necessarily learning in their spiritual communities. the girls are so mature. And I just really thank you, Shepherd's Pole Ranch. Thank you.
Oh, well, God is good. God is good. So there were a group as my boys. I mean, of course, we're going every year. We would just take a whole bunch of neighborhood kids, and my joy is to take carloads full and do the drive up to Shepherd's Pole to do the drop off and pick up for camp. It's the best thing in the world. It's my happy place. Mm-hmm. So as we would be driving, as we were driving up there, and I mean, there's so many cool memories. Well, after the camp experience, we had all the families over in the neighborhood that had the kids go just to have a little debrief on that Sunday, 24 hours after they came back. And wow, hearing these kids and their experiences with God and hearing this, that, and the other. And one of the moms just said, Sally, when do we get to have something like this for us? we moms need this. And I said, okay, this Friday, come on over. Yeah. So as a busy real estate agent, there's no doubt that my time gets and my effort and energies, I have a lot to think about and a lot to keep track of. However, I also have been praying for the Lord to provide, because leading a study and mentoring women, that is what stirs my soul. So, and I love selling real estate, but I thought, Lord, where can I be stirring? Where can I be stirring that pot of who you've got in my life and what is happening naturally? I want to be a part of that organic. Yes, let's do it. So when she asked, okay, I said, absolutely, let's do it. Let's start Friday. And so people have asked me, okay, well, what do you teach on? What book are you using or whatever? And it's like, well, there have been semesters that I have done my own curriculum, and I will, I've even written a whole workbook. I did that one year on when we really got into studying the Bible, and I outlined the Bible. But we did. I mean, I just took from, Genesis to Revelation, and let's outline it and what's a highlight in every chapter. And I had a Bible kind of a resource that I used that could really help. And then you could just see and study and know, and it was a resource I could put into mom's hands that then these mamas could go and help teach their children how to look at the Bible in an outline, organized fashion. So we've done that. My biggest, my heart is to teach women to become a home champion. And a home champion, I have it back here. A home champion, you can see it back here, is one that is prioritizing the peace of their home by seeking God's help for personal peace, healing and destiny, and the courage to enact the changes necessary. Amen. So it's not only that a home champion is one that is seeking the Lord, but is ready to enact change. And so the ones that have been a part of the Bible study are ones that have said yes to change.
Yes.
Not just yes to come to a Bible study, but these are the ones that are saying yes to change. Mm-hmm. So that's a big deal. So
it is a big deal, and you've unpacked that well. I just love being a part of those girls. I mean, they're so many nuggets because there's so much authenticity, and I love the way that we would show up for one another. All of the pretension was gone. The competition and comparison was gone. We absolutely knew how to literally, physically would link arms and take our own best next step, whatever part of our story. And it was beautiful. And just like you're saying, staying strong and anchored on the Word of God, because of that was the power, that was the source, that was the empowerment we needed to say yes and enact whatever change was needed.
Well, and I'll tell you that for years then, I would do a fall and a spring study, that sort of thing. But then we had, what was it, 2000, I'm going to lose all my years here exactly. But my husband decided he's been an Oklahoma state representative he was for 8 years. And then he came home and he said, hey, I'm going to run for statewide office and statewide Oklahoma insurance commissioner. Okay. So now we've got a statewide election, and I had to really get my head around that because of all of it, right? All of it. And I wanted to go into it leaning forward and not back on my heels, and just knowing that God was a big part of this. And okay, Lord, what do you have for us? And in so doing, I felt the Lord said, okay, look at all of the girls that have been coming to study over the last number of years. But what was really important to me was that I define a team, because Sally needed a team that I needed. We had like a year and a half until the election, something like that. And so I called each one of you guys and said, will you commit to being there? And even if you can't make the Bible study, I need your strength, because you have a strength in an area I need. And I need to lock arms in that we are now going to start praying for the state of Oklahoma. We're going to now start praying for Glenn and Sally's role in the state of Oklahoma. We're now going to just cover in prayer the organization, administration, and protection, all of it. And so that was just really important to me. Just, we each have our own path. And so we each just have to find what that can look like. And that was really important to me, that especially when you're looking on a statewide level, there's so many people, right? There's just so many people. So how do I stay grounded? It's because I've got this small group of people that are lifting me up every day. And it's like, okay, I can say I had my inner circle was concrete. I mean, it was there. And it was great, because from Kristen to others in the group, we would be out at campaign events, and a little wink, wink, nod, nod, thumbs up. It was just empowering. It was just absolutely fantastic. So, and that really carried us and carried me and kept me nice and right here all through the campaign, no matter what, right here, because I felt really grounded, because it was grounded in the Lord, and I was grounded with a small group of people that were helping really pray me through.
And just it was just the component, it was a key component that was already knit in the group, which was authenticity. And that's just showing up candid and vulnerable, humble. And so I just want to say that you, yes, absolutely, you gave your yes to the Lord. You're going to carve out this space in your busy business schedule. You're going to carve out your home, clean or unclean. Yes, my door's open. Come. Like you were saying yes, and you were faithful in your yes. And then it came to a place of like, okay, I don't want to let this go. This is this group. At the same time, I am now, what is on my plate is heavy. It's big. I can't wrap my heart around it. And so I need help. And this is how I need help. This is the support I need. And so you're really just humble and sharing your needs. And there was like I said, there was so much knitting with one another for years. That had been already years that it was an easy yes on a big level to bring. Oh yeah. I mean, we need, it's the body. It's the body making parts. It's saying, hey, you don't have faith here. Use my faith today. You don't
borrow some of mine.
Yeah, borrow some of my excitement. You don't have the here. You want some earrings? No, I'm just kidding. Really, like we're that close of girlfriends of it doesn't matter, natural, supernatural, absolutely we're able to be there for one another, and there was so much joy in it.
And that Bible study starts back up this Friday. Now we're gonna and we'll probably get to it a little bit later, but there is we're in a very different stage. We really have not met since COVID started, and we've met on and off for coffees in the summer, but I'm really excited to get this group back because, this time in life, we are living in the most exciting time ever. And I want to live again, leaning forward, not back on my heels. And I want to encourage those that are around me to do the same for their families and their friends and their life and their lifestyles. That's like, okay, guys, we got to lean in and not run away. We've got to realize the times that we're in.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to get started on that. Mm-hmm. I'd like to just digress just quickly, just to kind of go back on. There was a life choice that was made early on that I just wanted to just kind of, especially just being here in this setting with you, because life choices is what it's all about, right?
Yeah, it's all about when we choose life, we're saying yes.
Yes.
What he's stirring in us, and we are saying yes with the risk. Usually, sometimes there's confidence in it. Most time, we don't know what the picture looks like, what all the pieces on the puzzle are, right. How it's going to end up. But we're saying yes because, I mean, it's a bit of Moses. Like, how could I go if your presence isn't with me? Like, how could you say no? How could you say no? Like, you always want to stay connection. You always want to stay tight in intimacy. And so the answer is yes.
Right.
But absolutely, each other's stories, how you choose life, how you say yes is going to empower other people to say yes. So share this yes that you did this season.
Well, I want to just share that, early on in my life, of course, being raised at the ranch, and I just had this just real feel that I wanted to have a great marriage. I began praying for that husband, that one, as an, early teen, doing what I need to do to just really staying planted with the Lord. And that was so important to me. And then we have a miracle, the coolest love story ever, that we met in Boston. I was a flight attendant with Delta. We met at a restaurant and just talked between tables. And what do you know? He ends up being the one. And we have had just the most amazing relationship. But early on, we were helping build a church up in the Boston area. That was where he was from. And during those times, we had different kids living with us. We always had kids living with us. And I think we counted in the 8 years we were there, 14 different, some were actual foster kids. Some were we were the leaders at our youth group. Youth leaders at our church. And so we just were constantly coming in contact with kids who just needed a few days away, a few weeks away. Okay, how about a few years away? Where we could and really that 18 to 25-year-old really became okay, Lord, what are you doing here? That we love that age, and kind of helping them kind of go figure out from high school to college. It was really important to us. And so we had many kids live with us. Well, now I'm in my 30s. I'm like, shouldn't we be pregnant by now? Like there were just years that went by. We were so busy, but we were not on birth control or anything. And it was like, wait, I think we should probably be pregnant by now. So we both went and got checked and all this. And they just couldn't tell us. They were just like, we don't know. Why, Sally? Why you're not getting pregnant? You should, but oh, brother. So our next thought was, really do the in vitro or something. And for some reason, it just I was like, no, that's not our story. I don't know. Even the angst that I would have, and many of you guys have felt that and have experienced that yourself. It's really hard. You'll have good days and bad days, but I had to just really wrestle that. And because that emotional commitment of the in vitro was I just didn't know that I could do that. So I was like, all right, Lord, you got to help me, because I'm really scared. And I don't know. I need some peace. So I really felt the Lord just come to me and, will you trust? Because I had known the Lord since I was a little girl. And I thought, okay, now shouldn't this just happen? then is God keeping something from me? But I really knew that there was a bigger story going on. And early on in there somewhere, I think it's probably while I was crying at some point, but I felt the Lord just whisper, literally whisper to me, listen, if you trust me, you're going to know that I don't need you for this generation or this generation or this generation. But when it's time, trust me. And it was interesting because then after 12 years, I was 36, I was almost 37, and I had a stomach ache. And we were at an event. I was like, I am not feeling so great. And I ended up going to the doctor because this was so weird. So the weirdest stomach ache. He said, well, honey, you're pregnant. What? So I'm 37 years old, pregnant with number one. Then 18 months later, pregnant with number two. 18 months later, pregnant with number three. So that is the story, our miracle story of our three boys. So, 37 years old, 39, 41-ish type of those.
And how long have you been married then on your first pregnancy? Just want to highlight that.
12 years. We've been married 12 years. In fact, it's really funny because even my teenage sons were like, boys, there's so much that you don't not even know about those first 12 years of your parents. It just, you do what you can.
Unpack it. Yeah.
Tell them, help them meet, but it's hard. So, but those are those precious years that Glenn and I just really worked to build a foundation. We were helping build a church up there in Massachusetts. And so anyways, we then had moved to Oklahoma and started our lives here. And we've been here, 3-4 years or so. And that was when I found out I was pregnant with the first one. So this miracle story of that wrestling before the first pregnancy. And then you get, and many of you know what that wrestling is about. Every month you're wrestling, right? Every month. Here we go again. And that wrestling, you have to know that wrestling is a sacred space. And if any of you today are in that questioning, the secret sauce is that know that you're in a sacred space. And this sacred space may last a couple months. It may last a couple years, more. It may last the rest of your life. But it's sacred. When there is something that you have such a deep desire that you are waiting for the Lord on, and it's not happening, that is a sacred space. Because you have a decision to make every single day. Will you trust? Did you trust? In this current pandemic that we're in, this, all the details, all the, stuff that is so not solid. I'm just so reminded of the whole Bible. The whole story of the Bible was God asking humans, did you trust and will you trust? Will you trust and did you trust? Because God likes to make a whole lot of big old decisions based on did you trust and will you trust? And a whole lot getting ready to happen and has happened all through the Bible based on did he trust? Did they trust? Will he trust? Will they trust? Bottom line, guys. And so for me, every day in that time, in that sacred space that I lived in for 12 years, will I trust and did I trust? That I can say yes to. That's in my control. So yes, I will live in complete trust. That I know. And so from then, now of course our boys are launching, but these years of raising boys, and I think because I was raising boys at an older age, there's a lot more calm. There's a lot more, intentionality maybe. Glenn and I were a lot more secure in ourselves and in our financial capabilities and who we are and who we're not. So, and that can be helpful as you're raising these young ones. So that's just kind of a story of, so now that was, on up into 40s, right? Well, for those of you guys that have had a baby, now throw in a few babies in a few years, I'll just say this. So now my early 40s, guys, was really rough. Okay. Now I had 3 babies under 4, and I'm in my early 40s, and there's a few hormones that are going crazy. And I have always kind of dealt with some of those hormones, that's kind of always been a thing for me. Well, now you add 3 babies post-pregnant. Oh, it was really rough. And so the emotions that I felt literally just cratered my marriage. I mean, I was literally every day thought, oh my gosh, I am tearing down my marriage. Like every day so much, like I can't even stop. I didn't even know how to stop myself because my emotions were so out of control. And I knew that Glenn was not the culprit, but I couldn't figure out. It was like this cloud. Everything. I was just like flailing. Who am I? Where did I go? Where was the strong Sally? Where was that girl that would do and go and see and be? And now I'm scared of my own shadow. Well, through a series of events and through some counseling that I finally was able to get, and a fantastic book here or there, and I just said, Lord, okay, I can't play this game any longer. But I don't know how to get out of it. And so I felt the Lord really say, I felt him just lead me to what is the culprit. And I was like, I'm mad because I don't know who I am anymore. Everything that I thought was me, now I have these 3 babies. I don't know what to do. I'm scared. Oh, you're scared. Well, that would be fear. Okay. I was like, oh, I'm having a battle with fear. Bam! All of a sudden I knew who the enemy was. Oh my goodness. Well, I can fight fear when I named it. And when I even named what I was scared of not living out of God's plan, of all of it. I go on forever, as we all can, of all of our fears. But I really felt like, Lord, I know that I can battle fear. And I'll tell you, success in life, bar none, your success in life will be how you found the way to battle fear. Period. Bar none. Because at the root of everything is us as humans that are just trying to live, and we're living scared. We're living in fear because we're just living in intimidation by that roaring lion that roams about growling at us, right? So I will tell you one, and I'm going to hold up this pen. What the Lord just showed me was he said, all right, put all of your fear into an object, like this little pen, right? But this was just so helpful because I was like, everything that I'm afraid of, and being a new mom, all of the emotions, I'm afraid, of my marriage and of the future and all of it, right? I put it all in this one object. Now I could see it. Now I see it. It's no longer a cloud. It's no longer a mist. I now can see it. And so I could speak to it every day. I was like, you know what, fear? All right. Yeah. What else you got? All right. And I would talk to my own fears like, oh, come on, you do better than that. What else am I scared of? And I would talk to this fear, and I would tell the fear every day. It's like, okay, I know that you're going to come with me because you never leave. However, you're not going to lead me. So I'm trying to get it in the camera here. I would tell fear that if he's coming with me during the day, all right, that's fine, but he has to stay back here. He can no longer lead my life. It was such a game changer. Glenn and I's relationship literally, I would almost even say overnight, changed. Because when I realized that my enemy was not my husband, my enemy was my own fear, and how critically important that was. And I tell you, it was a game changer. Since that time, which has been, gosh, well, let's say 10, 15 years, I have walked my life leaning in, because I now know it's not about fear going away forever. It doesn't. Guess what? He stays right here. What else am I terrible at? Oh, yeah. And what else should I be afraid of? Oh, yeah. But you know what? He's not leading my choices any longer. He has to stay back here. And I know where he is at all times. And I refuse to be led by fear. So I just bring that up. Thank you for that. Kind of let me that little long dissertation there. But that is something that I really have. That was a choose life choice that I made, Kristen. That's like, I will not be led by my fears.
Yes, and that's what I want to highlight. I want to highlight the choose life choices that I'm hearing from just all that you've shared. And we're going to rewind a little bit as you're sharing about, yes, to the place of 12 years of marriage, beautiful marriage, healthy marriage, wanting to, you have a mother's heart, you have a mentoring heart, you have 14 people in your home that you are loving and discipling and growing up, and you wanted to have your own children, but you got in a place of surrender. And I want to highlight that choose life choice. That place of surrender is not easy. It's not easy to get to. It's not easy to do well, but you did it so well that when you were having pains, you were not even thinking of pregnancy, nor were you thinking, you weren't going through in vitro, that route. Like, you were really in a place of surrender. Like, this is my story. I'm just letting go of that dream, that desire. What I even feel like the Lord has put in me is a mother's heart. Like, maybe I was wrong. So much surrender to the place where the Lord blessed you. You were surprised. It was more than blessed. You were surprised by it.
Absolutely.
So, that's a beautiful, surrender is such a beautiful choose life choice. And so many lovers of God, they never experience it. They never experience full surrender. And so they never get to experience fullness of Him coming in, because there's never a full surrender on their part.
Right.
So, another choose life choice that I'm hearing as far as in that season of, we were saying in this, you're using the global pandemic season, this season that we're in, as far as trust, like it's going to come down to trust. And I really want to say trust in His goodness and trust in Him being for you. And not, and you really have, I've seen that in you. You do trust in God's bigness, His goodness, His intimacy, His being for you. Obviously, you can trust in His epic story, but trusting in His intimacy, the micro story in the midst of the macro story. And so just want to highlight what the choose life choice of trust. And whenever there's things that are getting in the forefront, like instead of having your eyes fixed on Him and His goodness and being able to lock into His goodness, when the fear or anything else was taking over that position, really what the choose life choice I hear you say is your responsibility, your part in it, your part in it, saying, you know what? I actually was giving fear some time to dance there, and I was entertaining it and letting it and enjoying
right here.
I was letting it be in the forefront, but then, no, I'm going to take authority. I've already taken responsibility for how I've let it stay there. But you know what? I'm taking authority and saying, sure, you want to in my world? Well, your position is behind me.
Right.
You're not going to be ever before me. My eyes are fixed back on His goodness, on Him, who He is, and Him being for me. And so taking that authority, that choose life choice of responsibility, which is power, it starts with that awareness. That's the first step to authority, saying, you're the only place you can have in my life is behind me. And you're good, and you realize, it wasn't my husband, it wasn't the person, it was absolutely just the scheme of the enemy, and you're saying no.
Right. Right.
So I think that's beautiful. And those choose life choices, they're not easy. But at the same time, you were saying it was like overnight. It was like once I took my authority back and
once you take the authority back, once you see the enemy, because I think so many of us get caught because we don't see who the enemy is. It's like, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling anger, I'm feeling rage, I'm feeling depressed, I'm feeling anxious, I'm feeling. Well, okay, to explore those, really, what is it? And for me, it just kept coming back to, I am afraid in this. Now I have 3 babies. I no longer know how to be me. I'm afraid that I'm losing my identity. I'm afraid that God is, I no longer know how to do this relationship with the Lord because I'm up all night long. I no longer know, oh my gosh, how am I ever going to leave the house again? I have 3 car seats, 3 little babies. Like, how do I do this?
Yeah.
But I tell you, that wrestling, again, I go back to the wrestling. If you're wrestling today, no, it's just a sacred space.
Yeah.
It's not going to be like this forever.
And I want to highlight another choose life choice that you made in that. Okay, for sure, in the space before you got married, when you're or before you got married, before you had children, while married, of that, you, in your place of misunderstanding and confusion and desire not met, hope deferred makes the heart sick. You leaned into the voice of God, and He gave you a word of, it's for another generation. In other words, you knew that whoever your boys' friends were, you're going to be friends with those moms.
Absolutely.
Which is totally true, which is exactly how your core group of girls started.
Right. So that's exactly right.
But I want to say, absolutely, in the space of you're feeling alone and you are a flight attendant and you have hundreds and thousands of friends, not just virtual, not just through Facebook, right? There wasn't a Facebook then, but literally live every day. But yet now in a place of, okay, have 3 and we don't have this adult conversation, and they do not drop groceries at the doorstep in those days. And so making everything feel hard. Again, your choose life choice in these seasons, in these moments of you were leaning into God's voice and getting a word from Him.
Yeah.
Then
yes,
nothing can trump His voice to you.
Well, and I think that even our relationship and your continued reminder of the only thing that we are responsible for is watering our own roots.
Yes.
That we are not responsible, as I've learned from you, and that if our life is a tree, we're not responsible for what kind of tree we are, or what kind of fruit we produce, or how much fruit we get to produce. All we are in charge of is, am I watering the roots?
Yes.
Every day.
Yes.
Every day.
And those watering the roots, it's that root system, the watering of the root system. It's symbolic of the secret place. It's the unseen. The roots is the unseen part of the tree. And the reason we just go back to water the roots, and that sums it all up for us,
Right.
That language. But it's that unseen secret place. All you have to do is that part. But we know that the mature, fruitful, grandiose, awesome tree above ground never looks that way unless it has an established system. And that happens first. And then the seen is just the mirroring of the unseen. And so, all we do is do the unseen. And
I think that on a daily basis, those choose life choices for me are, especially now, 2020,
right?
Like can't control, can control, can't control, can control, right? And to stay in this space of what can I control? You know what? I can control that I'm going to go water my roots.
Yeah.
I can control that I'm going to trust God. And I'm trusting God, so I water on my roots. I water my roots so that I continue to trust in God. It goes both ways, and it's a continual and a continuum and an everyday. Absolutely, bar none. I do it. I stay it. I plan it. I prepare for it. And, you know, everyone, you can call it a quiet time. You can call it time of the Lord. It's just that space when I get up in the morning that I say, so today I'm going to trust. How about that?
That life choice you're saying yes, because it is that circle that's connecting to itself, and you get this and you get this, and I mean, it gets so back and forth. But it's that trusting God's goodness, because absolutely every day the enemy is going to come to kill, steal, and destroy. And he is going to try to demolish the truth of that God is not good. You can't trust him. And that is absolutely what he was able to convince Adam and Eve of that God is holding out on you. You can eat of this and you surely will not die.
Right.
Right. He is not really for you. He is not really good. He is holding out. And so absolutely we can bank that he's going to somehow try to navigate through a friend, through a relationship, through a circumstance, through a situation that God is holding out on us too. We cannot trust him. We must take it in our own hands and provide for ourselves in some way. But the truth is, you're right. In that time of your watering your roots, you are reminded, no, he is so good. You are so good.
Right. Right. So, you know, so now kind of where we are is staying in that position, that place of every day concentrating on what I can control and concentrating I can control my attitude, right? I can control that every day. Okay. I control how much I'm going to trust. Am I going to trust? Will I? Am I? Did I? How deep? I can control that. And by golly, that's what I'm going to do. Yeah. So with even this year's or this kind of fall Bible study, the Lord gave me from Luke 5, where Jesus notices two guys out in the water in their boats. He's like, hey, push out from shore and go throw your nets over, and the miracle, the fish will be there. But I think it's interesting. He didn't just say, just take your boat out, go over to the other side and go get some fish. He said, push away from shore. Yeah. So right now, I think for this 2020, my words and my hope and my desire, my prayer for those that the Lord has put me around is, we ready to push off from shore?
Totally.
And it's going to be deep. It's going to be deep water. I like it shallow. I like seeing the bottom.
I don't like it.
Yeah, that's not what the fish are.
No.
And again, my true belief in this time, it's not just about saving ourselves or being secure. Oh my gosh, it's not living in a save yourself mentality. It's that, okay, God says, push off from shore, get out to the deep water and throw the net.
Amen.
You even own a net?
Amen. And let me just share a little bit, like it's stirring and something. Okay, so I love what you're saying of like, what can I control? I can control my attitude. I can control my response. I control. And so evaluating what you control. And that is the days we're in. We're in the Romans 8 days where the sons and daughters are going to be revealed. And it's the mature sons and daughters. It's the mature ones. And the mature ones are the ones that take responsibility. Yeah. The ones that say, what can I control? And I will take responsibility and ownership, and I will change what needs to be changed, what I can change, what the parts that I control. Those are the mature sons and daughters. And the mature ones are the ones that they get to, that they have a permission. They have a green light of God to push out. Because as parents, we know the ones that are immature kids, are young kids in age and maturity. We're like, oh, please stay in the shallow end. We do not actually trust you in the deep end. You can't swim out there. Yeah. It's big waves, big winds. We don't trust you. You can't do it. Stay shallow, stay little. But the mature ones, go deep. Go. We love you. We bless you. And because you can handle it. And that is actually the mature sons and daughters. And yes, we know it's like that's the interplay of we can trust God and his goodness, but absolutely we want to be somebody he can trust.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the ones that he can trust, he's saying, go deep. And the ones that he can't trust in his kindness and in his, because he's a loving father, he's saying, stay shallow, stay close, not ready yet.
Right. Right.
So it's not even about our risk. It's about almost like our permission. If he's saying, go deep, we say, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you that you can trust me. Thank you.
Yeah. So.
Okay, I love you dearly. Thank you so much for sharing the beauty of the Lord in your life and sharing how you've overcome and to choose life choices, not just in seasons of yesteryear, but literally in the now, today. Today I choose life by saying yes, trusting in God's goodness, anything that, and taking authority, anything that does not belong in the forefront, like literally positioning it behind you, just placing it and only keeping him before you, his voice, his word, his living word alive inside you, and leaning in, taking the rest, taking the permission, taking what he's offering you.
Thank you, Kristen, for all that you're doing and encouraging all of us every day to choose life. It's a choice. Choose life. So blessings to you.
I love you. Love you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And bless you, everybody who's watching. Yes, today we have learned from Sally how to choose life, how to find freedom, how to take territory. And we know it's important because now is the time.
Now.
See you next time.
All right. Blessings.
Blessings.